Most people move through life on autopilot. They wake up, scroll their phones, rush through their days, and fall asleep exhausted, wondering why they still feel empty. They work hard, but they don't feel alive. They stay busy, but they don't feel fulfilled. Deep inside, there is a quiet voice whispering, "You were made for more than this." To become an absolute savage is to finally listen to that voice. It is to stop drifting and start leading your own life with intention. Everything begins with knowing why you want more. Not a shallow reason, not money, not fame, not applause, but a deeper reason that connects to who you truly are. When your purpose is clear, your actions become powerful. You no longer need constant motivation because your reason is bigger than your excuses. You stop asking, "How do I feel today?" and start asking, "What must be done?" This shift changes everything. Clarity gives you direction, and direction gives you strength. There will be moments when the path feels heavy, days when your energy is low, when your confidence fades, when your progress feels invisible. This is where discipline takes over. Discipline is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It is doing the work when no one is watching and continuing when no one is clapping. It is waking up early, staying focused, and pushing forward even when your mind begs for rest. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Every promise you keep strengthens your identity, and every promise you break weakens it. An absolute savage protects their word, especially the word they give to themselves. Discomfort is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand your capacity. You learn resilience, you build courage, you discover strength you didn't know you had. Growth never happens in comfort zones. Comfort makes us passive, but challenge makes us powerful. When you willingly choose hard paths, you train your mind to stay calm in chaos and steady in pressure. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes your new normal. True strength is not loud. It does not seek approval. It does not need recognition. It comes from living by internal standards instead of external validation. When your worth depends on other people's opinions, you become fragile. But when your worth is rooted in your values, you become unshakable. You no longer chase attention, you chase excellence. You stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. You become grounded, focused, and purpose-driven. Consistency is where transformation truly happens. Small actions repeated daily create extraordinary results. One focused hour, one honest effort, one disciplined choice. Over time, these tiny commitments compound into massive change. At first, no one notices. There are no instant rewards, no shortcuts, no overnight success. But if you stay consistent, one day people will call it luck without seeing the years of unseen work behind it. To become an absolute savage is not about aggression or dominance. It is about responsibility. It is about rising each day with clarity, acting with discipline, embracing discomfort, and committing to steady growth. It is choosing to build a life of meaning instead of convenience. It is becoming the person your future self will thank you for. And when you do this, not only do you change your own life, you inspire everyone around you to believe in what is possible. Most people believe that success is about intensity. They think if they feel fired up, inspired, and emotionally charged, they will finally take action. But emotions are unreliable, they rise and fall, they change with sleep, stress, and circumstances. If your progress depends on how you feel, you will stay stuck in cycles of starting strong and quitting early. Becoming an absolute savage begins when you stop depending on motivation and start building discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect in action. It is the decision to honor your future more than your comfort. It is choosing what matters most over what feels best in the moment. When you commit to discipline, you remove negotiation from your life. You stop debating whether to show up, you simply show up. You stop asking if it's convenient, you decide it's necessary. This mental shift creates consistency, and consistency is what separates those who dream from those who become. Every meaningful transformation requires discomfort. Growth demands that you walk into uncertainty and resistance. The body resists change, the mind fears failure, but courage is built when you act despite both. Each time you step into discomfort, you expand your limits. You become stronger, sharper, and more capable. Over time, the things that once intimidated you become normal, and what once felt impossible becomes your standard. Most people wait until they feel ready, but readiness is a myth. You become ready by acting. Confidence does not come before action. It is created through action. Each small step forward builds belief. Each completed task strengthens identity. Slowly, you stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. This identity shift is powerful because behavior always follows identity. True savagery is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It does not need applause. It is built in silence, repetition, and patience. While others look for shortcuts, you focus on mastery. While others chase attention, you chase improvement. You understand that greatness is not a single moment, but a series of ordinary actions done with extraordinary commitment. Consistency builds momentum, momentum builds confidence, confidence builds courage, and courage builds transformation. Every day you show up, even when it's boring, hard, or uncomfortable, you strengthen your character. You become dependable, you become resilient, you become mentally tough, and mental toughness is the foundation of long-term success. But discipline without purpose leads to burnout. That is why clarity matters. When you know why you're working, sacrificing, and struggling, your endurance multiplies. Purpose turns pressure into privilege. It reminds you that this effort is a choice, not a burden. It connects your actions to something greater than immediate results. Becoming an absolute savage means committing to the process, not the outcome. It means trusting that small, daily efforts compound over time. It means understanding that true success is invisible before it is obvious. There will be days when progress seems non-existent. But those days are shaping your resilience, sharpening your focus, and strengthening your resolve. And one day, when others wonder how you became so strong, so disciplined, so consistent, the answer will be simple. You decided to stop waiting, you chose to act, you embraced discomfort, you stayed consistent, and in doing so, you didn't just change your habits, you transformed your identity. Most people spend their lives reacting. They react to circumstances, to pressure, to expectations, to fear. They let the world decide how they feel, what they believe, and what they become. But the moment you choose to take responsibility for your life, everything changes. Becoming an absolute savage begins when you stop waiting for permission and start leading yourself with intention. Responsibility is power. When you take ownership of your actions, your habits, and your mindset, you reclaim control. You stop blaming circumstances and start shaping outcomes. You understand that your future is not built by chance, but by choice. Every small decision you make, every habit you repeat, every standard you uphold becomes a brick in the foundation of your life. Over time, those bricks either build a strong structure or a fragile one. The choice is always yours. Clarity gives direction. Without it, effort becomes scattered and progress becomes slow. When you know exactly what you stand for, decisions become easier. You no longer waste energy on distractions. You stop chasing everything and start focusing on what truly matters. This clarity creates alignment, and alignment creates momentum. Your actions begin to support your values, and your values begin to guide your actions. Life becomes intentional instead of accidental. Discomfort is the gateway to growth. Every time you step beyond what is familiar, you challenge your limits. Fear, doubt, and resistance will always show up, but they are not signals to stop. They are signals that you are moving forward. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act in its presence. Each time you choose courage, you train your mind to stay steady under pressure. Over time, resilience replaces hesitation and confidence replaces doubt. Consistency is what transforms effort into excellence. Big dreams are built on small, disciplined actions repeated daily. There are no shortcuts. There is only commitment. When you stay consistent, even on days when motivation is absent, you build trust in yourself. That trust becomes confidence. And confidence becomes momentum. Slowly, your identity begins to shift. You no longer see yourself as someone who hopes for change. You become someone who creates it. True strength is internal. It does not rely on applause or recognition. It is rooted in character. When you build strong internal standards, you become independent of external approval. You stop seeking validation and start seeking integrity. You measure success not by how others perceive you, but by how closely your actions align with your values. This creates peace, clarity, and stability, even in chaos. The journey to becoming an absolute savage is not glamorous. It is quiet, it is repetitive, it is often lonely, but it is deeply meaningful. Every early morning, every disciplined choice, every moment of restraint and focus compounds into long-term transformation. You become mentally tough, emotionally resilient, and purpose-driven. And one day, you will look back and realize that the greatest victory was not the success you achieved, but the person you became along the way. You will see that every struggle shaped your strength, every setback refined your focus, and every challenge deepened your resolve. That is what it means to become an absolute savage, not domination, not ego, but mastery of self. Most people measure their lives by outcomes. They count achievements, track progress, and compare themselves to others, hoping that external success will finally make them feel complete. But fulfillment does not come from what you accumulate, it comes from who you become. Becoming an absolute savage is not about winning more, it is about becoming more. It is about aligning your daily actions with your deepest values and committing to a path of constant growth. Real change begins when you understand that your habits shape your identity. Every small choice you make reinforces the person you believe yourself to be. When you choose discipline, you become disciplined. When you choose courage, you become courageous. When you choose responsibility, you become reliable. Over time, these repeated choices transform your character. You stop trying to act like a stronger person and start becoming one naturally. The challenge is that growth is uncomfortable. It requires sacrifice, it demands patience, and it often feels invisible. In a world obsessed with instant results, waiting feels unbearable. But the most meaningful transformations happen slowly. They are built through consistent effort, quiet persistence, and long-term commitment. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you want to become. Eventually, those votes create a new identity. Fear will always try to protect your comfort. It will convince you to delay, to hesitate, to stay where you are. But comfort is not safety. Comfort is stagnation. When you remain comfortable, your potential stays dormant. To grow, you must be willing to feel uncertain, vulnerable, and challenged. Each time you face discomfort, you strengthen your resilience. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you once believed. Clarity is the anchor that keeps you steady in chaos. When you know what matters most, distractions lose their power. You stop chasing temporary pleasures and start investing in long-term fulfillment. Purpose simplifies decisions. It gives meaning to sacrifice. It reminds you that your effort is not wasted, even when results are not immediate. Purpose transforms struggle into significance. True strength is built when no one is watching. It is developed in private moments of discipline, focus, and restraint. These moments shape your character. They build self-trust. They create confidence rooted in experience, not opinion. When challenges arise, you stand firm because you know the depth of your preparation. Consistency compounds. One small improvement every day may seem insignificant, but over time it becomes extraordinary. Growth is not linear. Some days will feel stagnant, some discouraging, but progress is happening beneath the surface. Roots grow before branches appear. Trust the process, stay patient, stay committed. Becoming an absolute savage means choosing growth over comfort, discipline over convenience, and purpose over pleasure. It means embracing the long road and honoring the journey. It means showing up, even when no one notices, and believing in the process, even when the outcome is uncertain. And one day you will realize that the greatest achievement was not the destination you reached, but the strength, wisdom, and character you built along the way. You will stand grounded, focused, and resilient, knowing that you became the kind of person capable of handling anything life places before you. Most people search for confidence. They look for it in achievements, in recognition, in approval, and in success. But true confidence is not found in outcomes. It is built through commitment. It is the result of promises kept, standards upheld, and values honored. Becoming an absolute savage is about building a level of self-trust so deep that doubt loses its grip and fear loses its voice. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity. Every time you break one, you weaken it. Over time, these small moments define how you see yourself. When you say you will wake up early and you do, when you commit to working hard and you follow through, you are telling yourself, I can be trusted. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence. It allows you to move forward without needing reassurance from the outside world. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait, to be cautious, to delay until conditions are perfect, but perfection is an illusion. Growth requires action before certainty. Clarity follows movement, not the other way around. When you take the first step, the path begins to reveal itself. Each step builds momentum, and momentum creates belief. Soon, what once felt intimidating becomes familiar, and what once seemed impossible becomes achievable. The greatest battles are internal. They are fought in moments of temptation, fatigue, and doubt. Winning these battles requires discipline. Discipline is not harshness, it is care. It is choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. It is sacrificing ease today for strength tomorrow. When you practice discipline consistently, you develop resilience. You become mentally tough, emotionally stable, and capable of handling pressure with calm. Purpose gives meaning to effort. Without purpose, hard work becomes exhausting. With purpose, it becomes energizing. When your actions are connected to something greater than yourself, endurance increases. You stop measuring progress by immediate results and start measuring it by alignment. You understand that meaningful work often requires patience, and lasting success demands persistence. Consistency is the bridge between potential and performance. Talent, intelligence, and ambition are meaningless without follow-through. It is daily effort, repeated over time, that creates transformation. Small habits practiced relentlessly shape character. Character determines destiny. When you commit to consistency, you commit to evolution. You allow time to compound your efforts into extraordinary outcomes. True savagery is not aggression or dominance. It is mastery of self. It is emotional control, mental clarity, and unwavering focus. It is staying grounded in chaos and composed under pressure. It is responding with intention instead of reacting with impulse. This inner strength creates stability, and stability creates power. In the end, becoming an absolute savage is about responsibility. It is choosing to lead your own life with courage, discipline, and purpose. It is refusing to settle for mediocrity. It is deciding every single day to become a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more focused than yesterday. And over time, as these small choices accumulate, you transform, not into someone louder or more dominant, but into someone calmer, stronger, and deeply confident. Someone who does not chase success, but attracts it through consistency, character, and clarity.